Hello, welcome to Wordsworth Model Railway. My name's Mike and we have another new episode of Let's Build a Card Kit. So what we're going to build today, this is a new kit obviously. It's a locomotive wash plant, or it could even be a carriage wash plant, rolling stock wash plant, anything. It's loosely based on one that I've seen online. It should be a simple kit to build, but this video will guide you through the full process. I'm not too sure how long these videos will be, so when I come to the editing, it might be that I'll do it in a couple of parts, because I don't want it to be hours long. So it may be over a couple of parts, this build. Let's have a look. What else have we got? We've got the plan of the building, showing you how all the wall joints go, so there's no guessing anymore. I've got the walls marked up with the normal features that you see on the latest kits. I've tried to get away from end wall and side wall and all that. I've tried to actually give them numbers now, so it's more like a building by numbers kits that I'm trying to produce now. What do we find on the kits also? We've got a little measuring gauge that was implemented. People wanted to know, are we sure it's printing off at the right scale? Well, there's a little measuring rule here. Just get a normal rule and you'll be able to measure 25, 50, 100 mils. That means it's come off at the right size. It's print only, glue onto 1mm card, 1mm card. So usual construction. So let's get started. What we'll do is I'll glue all the pieces that need to be glued to cardstock, and then we'll come back. So bear with me a minute please. Okay, so we've prepped all the printed stock, got it onto the card. It's all here. What we need to do now is make a start, and how I'm going to tackle this is start with these end pieces. These are the two outside, these are two inside. We'll get them cut out. We'll put these to one side for now and concentrate on these four pieces. So let me get these cut out. So we've got our four pieces cut out. The next step is to cut out the entrance and exit openings. Then we can actually glue these back to back. So let me get these cut out and we'll come back. So here we are. We've got the four end pieces cut out. What we have to do now is turn them over. We'll apply some glue to each piece, and then we'll center these pieces onto these like so, and then I like to secure them with clamps, Boston clips, bulldog clips, all depends where you are in the world. Put to one side, let the glue dry, and we'll continue working on the exterior and interior long walls. So let me get these glued together and I'll show you how they look before we move on. So you can see we've now got the pieces glued together, the back to back. I don't know if you can spot the little overlaps there on the video, but that allows the walls to butt up and you'll get more surface area when we glue these together. There is some more pieces to go on here, but we can't rush ahead just yet. So let's get these to one side and we'll concentrate on the long inside and outside walls. So this is the section with the outside walls and the inside walls. What we will do before we get too far into this, so this is wall 6, just flip it over, wall 11, why did I say 6? This is wall 15, and 14. Right, just once you get these cut out, you've lost sort of like the identification for which each piece is. I mean, it's pretty obvious where they do go, but say you put it to one side for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, in my case sometimes, you'll come back and go, what was that again? You've now got it on the back. So what we'll do is we'll get these cut out. Now you might be wondering, why am I downstairs again? Because I'm on the dining room table. Whatever you do, don't tell the wife. She's gone out shopping, gone with the daughter down to Meadowhall, doing some birthday shopping down there. Son's just done a stint on nights, a 12-hour shift on nights, hence why I don't want to be working in the loft. Plus the winds are still quite strong over the UK, and I'll be honest, it scares the living daylights out of me when I'm up in the loft and it's windy. You can hear the roof chattering away. Even though it's all insulated, yeah, it's scary. So I'm downstairs on the wife's dining table, so let's hope I don't have any accidents. So basically you can see what I'm doing with a steel rule, lining up onto the edge, make sure it's square, the full length, and then just cut down. And like I said, always let the blade do the cutting, especially with this thick card. There's no point piling the pressure on and trying to get through in one. You'll know when you're through, and it's just as simple as that. Spin around, line her up again. Now, someone were asking me about the last video. Can you remember the low relief 300 GSM card kit? And I said it's a pity I don't do more kits in that method. And they asked, what do I mean? Well, as can be seen, this is heavy card. These kits, once they're put together, produce something that's quite robust. The downside is they're not as fast to put together as the 300 GSM card. So that's what I was on about. Those 300 GSM ones fly together, and you can do many in a day. Where me, I'll be honest, I'm not the world's fastest kit builder. So one of these kits might take me a day to 2 days, depending on how fast I'm working. Don't worry about that piece, it's an offcut, and I didn't go all the way to the end with the glue like I normally do. Right, so let me just put the blade back in, I don't want no accidents. So you can see that wall's cut out and there's no markings on, you don't know which is which, hence on the back it says wall 11. That's why it's a nice little tip, that if you've got a goldfish brain like me at times, mark your stuff up. You're not going to see that once you glue these back to back. So mark them up. So put that one to one side. I don't want to bore you cutting the rest of these out, but let me get them cut out and then I'll show you where we go next. So we've got the 4 sections cut out, and what we've got is, I believe that's an outside wall, that's an inside wall, so that will get glued there. That outside wall will get glued to this inside wall there. They'll be held together with the Boston clips again, and note the overlap again. That's so it'll all get a nice stepped edge. You get loads of glue in there, so when you clamp it all together, the surface area is increased dramatically. So let's get these together. So here we have, there are wall sections glued together, held nicely with the Boston clips whilst that glue sets. All we need to do is put these to one side now, put them underneath the camera, and we will turn our attention back to these. But what we need to do, if I can find the right sheet, so what we need, right, okay, we've got some detailing to go on, so we can't put these ones on yet. We will put these on very shortly, so I'm going to cut these out first. But before we glue these on, this raw edge, now you don't have to cover these up, but there is within the kit a cover strip that will come down here, across here and down there, same on the inside, just covering up that edge. Now another way you could do it is paint it grey. It's entirely up to you, but the option's there within the kit. So let me get these to one side again. It's these two we're after, but we don't glue them on straight away, we do the covering strips. So let me get these cut out, then we'll do the covering strips. Now one thing I should have mentioned before we actually cut out the full piece, it's actually easier to cut out these sections whilst it's still in the main piece of card. Now an experienced builder will have no trouble with this. If you're new, all I say is just take your time, don't rush it, it's not a race. Make sure you've got a sharp blade and just steady strokes cutting through it. It's not too bad because this is only 1mm card, so it's not as though you're trying to get through that 2mm stuff, but still take your time and you will get through. Once this is out of here, this is very delicate until it's glued to the main frame. So let me get it cut out and I'll show you what it looks like once it's actually free from the card. So we've got the first section cut out. Like I says, it's very delicate, so be careful. What we need to do, once again, you don't have to do this, but it's something I'm going to do. I'm going to get some grey acrylic paint and just go down all these edges, all these inside edges, but do it from behind. That way you don't get paint over this lovely fascia. And when you've done that, I can take these off. just got our fascia kit to put round here first, and this is the inside. Once that's done, this piece will then glue onto there. Can you now see the 3D effect that I was trying to create on this kit? Because when I actually first designed this piece was actually printed onto there, and it looked alright, but I just thought with a little bit more care and attention you can get a lovely 3D effect, and that's what you'll get on the front as well. So let me just put that to one side. You can see I'm handling it really carefully. I'll just put that to there, and we'll get this piece first. Then whilst that's drying, we will paint that piece. So this is our print only piece. The bits we're after are these ones. Just like the other covering strips, whether it's an outside corner or an inside corner, we've got some score lines. A score line here. So we'll make those, then we'll cut it out, then we'll glue it to the main piece, and then we can move on to the next process. So we've got our end pieces. There are entranceway covering strips, and these will glue in here. That will fold down, and you'll bend these tabs over so it looks like that. That goes down so it's in there. So you get the general idea of what we're going to do. So let's get some glue and get these glued on to these pieces. So we've got the covering strips over the entrance pieces. Just tidies that raw edge up nicely. What we need, just put one to that side. Let's start with this one. There's that piece that we cut out earlier, and I've painted with some grey acrylic those edges. What we will do is glue that onto there now. Hold it with the clips whilst it dries, and then we'll do the same, cut the next piece out for this piece. So let me get this glued, and then I'll get that piece cut, and then we'll come back to the kit. So there we have the first piece on. I won't bore you whilst I cut out the same piece for the other side, but that will get glued onto there, and then we can crack on with the kit. Okay, we've got the inner pieces glued on the frame. Starting to look really good now. What we need to do is put these to one side, so we can now work on these sections again. These are the outside walls. If I turn it that way, that's an inside, and that's an inside. We now need to get the fascia piece, or the frame, just like we did for the end pieces, cut out for these sections. Now these are on 1mm card again. And they are on this section here. So just like the front, we have to cut out all these openings whilst it's still in the main frame. Just makes it easier to cut, and it keeps it all supported. Once we've got them all cut out, we can then cut out the outline, paint the edges with some grey acrylic, and then those pieces will glue onto the inside there. At this point, we're then ready to start assembling the walls. So let me get this one cut out so I can show you what I mean. So we've got our internal framework cut out. I've painted the sides with grey acrylic, but like I said, you don't have to do that if you don't want to do it. It just enhances the model. These are our two long walls, and these will glue onto the inside section like this. And you can see it gives a nice 3D effect, just what I've been aiming for. So let me get these glued on, and then I'll show you where we go next. So we've got our framework glued on to our pieces. What we need to do, just leave them to one side to let that glue set a little bit. What we can do is move on to the next stage of the kit. Okay, we've got our 4 sections to make the main building. We're now ready to glue these together. All we need to do is apply glue to these raw ends, take off these clips, and then bring them together to form the main shell. So let's get the glue applied. Okay, we've now got the 4 sides glued together to form the basic shape. What we need to do now is get rid of these horrible bare ends by using the cover strips provided within the kit. So let's put this to one side. We get the print only section. Here's the cover strips. Let's get those cut out. So we've got our 4 corner cover strips cut out. What we need to do now is glue these to the side of the building so they fit on just like that. Right, that's our corner covering strips now fitted to the kit. We can now carry on with the next part, which is the framework for this entrance here and this entrance here. So these are the 2 pieces I'm talking about. We just cut them out just like we did before. Cut out these sections first, and then we'll cut out the main framework from the bulk of the card slightly later. So we've got the framework cut out for the first piece. We'll do what we did just before. Use grey acrylic paint to cover up these raw edges. Like I keep saying, you don't have to do this, but it does finish the kit off with a more professional finish. So let me get this painted up. So we've now got this all painted. All the raw edges are covered up. We now just need to apply some glue to this back edge, and we can get it glued onto the main building. Okay, so where are we with the build? We've got the frame glued onto the ends. Don't know if you can see inside, but we've got the frames glued inside as well. I'd say we're about halfway through the build now. We now need to do the frames for the two long sides now, before we then turn our attention back inside the build. So let's get these long sections. So these are the external frame sections that we need to put on, wall 13 and wall 17. These are all marked on the plan that comes with part of the kit now. So just like we did with the end sections, cut out each of these openings, then cut out the main frame, because like I said, once these are out, this is quite delicate, but if you're careful it'll stop intact. Do what we did last time, paint the raw edges. I'm just using grey acrylic paint, and then we'll glue these to the sides. So let's get this cut out. Okay, we've got our framework cut out from the cardstock. All we need to do is paint up these raw edges. That just tidies them up, and once that's done, get the building and we'll glue that onto the side of the building like so. So let's get this painted and then we can carry on. Well, our kit's coming along quite nicely now. We've got the side framework on this side now, the end frames. You can really start to see how the outside of this kit will look. All we've got to do now is get this side on, then we can turn our attention to the inside. So let's get this piece cut out for the opposite side. We've got our final frame cut out. What we'll do now, paint these edges again, and then we'll get this glued onto the outside, and we can move on to actually detailing the inside of the wash plant. So we've got our final piece of framework onto the kit. What we need to do is put this to one side now, and let's start building this interior detail. So the next part will be the roof ridge supports. There's 6 of these in total. They're numbered 1, 2 and 3, 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 1, 2 and 3. Basically cut these out, glue them on top of each other, those onto that, and so forth, and then we can then get the covering that actually wraps around these, and then that's the supports done. So let's get these cut out and we'll show you how we go on. Okay, we've got our leg supports cut out. There's all 6 of them. What we'll do is apply some glue, and then basically these will just sit on top of each other to form the legs. So we've got our 6 legs, they're glued together. What we need to do, put them to one side while they dry, and we need to turn our attention to the print only covering sections, which are these yellow pieces here. Before we cut them out, we'll do the score lines to make it easier to fold, and then we'll cover the legs in these sections. Okay, we've got our leg coverings cut out, got them pre-scored and folded, so we just need to apply some glue and then wrap them round each of the leg supports. Okay, we've got our 6 roof support legs covered now. What we need to do is do the foot and header supports. They'll go on the end of each piece, so let's move our attention there. So these are the pieces that I was talking about. There's 6 of them, so let's get these cut out. That's our 6 foot and toppers there. What we need to do now is get these covered using these sections here. Once again, before we cut them out, we need to do the score lines. So we've got our covering strips. Here's our sub base. What we need to do is apply glue and wrap these around these small pieces. So we've got our foot and top for each leg. Basically all we need to do now is get a leg, glue that one to the bottom and that one to the top. So let's get on with this. So there are our 6 roof supporting legs. What we need to do now is actually glue these into the building. Now there's a neat little trick. You can guess them in place, or you can use, let's move these, you actually lay your building round here. Each of these supports will go where these yellow sections are. So if you get your building, place them on there. I mean, this is just a guide, and then what you'll do is apply some glue to the back. Oh, he says try not to destroy it, and place them and glue in position like so. Okay, we've got the 6 yellow supporting roof legs in place. Yep. So you can see it's coming along really well now. What we need to do before we actually put the roof supports in, we've got the red high pressure washer sprays to go in at each side. Now they are on this piece of card. Basically we cut these out and then with some red paint go around the edges. Now it's up to you. I have provided a flip side that goes on the other side once you get it cut out. It's not necessary, but it's there should you require it. So let's get these sections cut out now. Once again, I'd advise cutting these out first, then cut the main washer heads out. So we've got the first spray head cut out. We'll paint this red, or you could use the optional print section that you glue onto the back, but I'm going to paint mine red, and paint all these raw edges red, and then this will then glue to the leg supports like so. Then obviously you'll do the other side, then we can do the roof apexes, and then the last piece to go on will be the actual roof, and that will be this kit finished. So that's the first spray head. I've painted it with some Humbrol matte acrylic. Now I've had this years. I can't even tell you what colour number it is because it's not on the top anymore. All I know it is matte red paint, and just painted it red on the back and covered up those raw edges, so you've still got the detail of the spray heads, and the little supporting bolts are all in there. We just need to glue that into the building. So we've got our first one glued in. What we need to do, get the other one cut out so it goes on that side. So we've got our second spray head in there now. Hope you can see everything in there. We can now turn our attention to the roof supporting trusses. Okay, let's take stock where we are with this kit. I've actually, whilst being off camera, been adding some detail. I've got the no wash display screen actually added on there, the maximum speed limit through the unit 5 miles per hour. There is another version you can have it where the no is not illuminated, or simulated not illuminated, so it says wash, so you can start passing your stock through there. Done the other side. The framework's all on now. It's nearly complete. So what we need to do now is get the 3 roof truss sections cut out, and I'll get those pieces now and we'll show you how we get to the end game. So these are our 3 roof truss supports. These are the bottom halves. So we'll get these cut out, and then we've got some covering strips that actually wrap around these. We'll leave these where they are for now. Okay, we've got our 3 roof truss supports cut out. We now need to get the covering strips, which are these yellow pieces. We'll do the score lines first, and then we'll roughly cut out, fold it all over so the folds are already pre-done, and then we'll do the final detail cut out ready for wrapping round. Okay, we've got the 3 covering sections and the 3 sub bases here. All we need to do is apply glue and wrap them round each one of these in turn. So we've got our 3 pieces, they're all covered nicely. What we need to do now is fit these to the building. So we need to now cut out our ridge roof supports. What I would advise, just like we did with the outer framework, cut out these sections here. So these are our first roof truss pieces, just like I did before. I haven't done the top edges because the roof's going to go on there, but I've painted all the raw edges underneath. And what you do is you flip one over, apply glue, you put that one on top to form a double thickness, and then you will get your base piece. Once these are secure, you glue these onto there. That forms your completed roof truss, which can then sit between the two upright supports. So let's get everything glued together. So that's our completed first roof truss. This will now glue into place just like so. Get it centered on those uprights, and that's how it'll sit on the building. Let me get this glued in. Right, we've got our first truss glued in place. We just need to do the same now for number 2 and number 3. Now, I've heard everyone talking about this rocket glue. It's the first time I've actually used this, and I have to say I'm very impressed with it. It virtually grabs straight away, and it goes off a lot quicker than the normal prick glue that I use. So I've added this to my arsenal now. Expensive, but you use it sparingly, and with the fine tip that you get with it, it even does for those small edges. Okay, we've now got our 3 roof trusses in place. You can see how they fit. We're now on the home leg. All we need now is the roof covering, and this kit is ready to go straight onto your layout and start running your rolling stock and locomotives through, keeping them clean. So here are the next sections that we're cutting out. This is the roof, this is the underside, this is the bit that sits inside the building, and we've got some coverings that will go on the other side. So let's get these cut out. So that's our 2 under roof sections cut out. They will go onto the building like so. What we need to do is apply a covering, which will be the top side to these sections. So let's get these out of the way. So these are our covering strips for the roof, and then that's the ridge capping that goes across both sections, and they're your spare wash screen coverings should you want to show it to be washing rather than no wash. So before we cut these out, there's the usual score lines we need to do. Let's get those out of the way. So that's our 2 roof coverings cut out. They're the 2 roof sections we're going to glue them onto. So let's get some glue applied, and then we'll get those onto there, flaps folded over, and these are then ready to go onto the kit. Okay, that's our 2 roof sections, nicely covered. What we need to do now is get these glued to the main building. Okay, we've now got our roof glued on. All we need now is the roof apex covering, and then that's this kit finished. Okay, that's our centre roof apex covering section. All we need to do now is glue this to the building and we're done. So that's our wash plant finished. I do apologise for it being such a long video, but there was a fair bit to actually show you where things went. I think it's a lovely kit. I'm sure quite a few people will like to see this on their own layout. So once again, thank you for joining me on Let's Build a Card Kit, and I'll see you with the next episode soon.